It's a double-edged sword. The advances that we're seeing with AI augmenting code, writing, generating code, doing code review for you, and all of those things has the potential to put people out of jobs for sure.
You are welcome to the Automating Inequality Podcast.
Hi, my name is BLAISE, and you are welcome to an episode of Automating Inequality Podcast, where we speak with founders, senior executives, anyone who is bullish on AI. So AI is augmenting the society as we know it, but if unchecked, if unregulated, it can go a long way to causing lots of harm and lots of inequality. So today we will be having a founder, CEO of Peppa, by name Banky Alao. Banky, can we meet you?
Okay, thanks a lot, Blaze. My name is Banky. I'm co-founder, CEO at Peppa. Peppa is a data science startup solving the fragmentation problem that middle-sized businesses have today with a lot of the business applications they use. We like to say that we are helping mid-sized businesses consolidate data from all the apps they use and make sense of that data from the perspective of growth or efficiency.
Okay, so what would you say is the core vision and mission of Peppa?
Well, we've come some way at Peppa, but one thing that has remained true and remained constant for us is our focus. We are very wired towards making commerce work for everyone. That singular vision is what drives all of what we do. We're not locked into any particular products, any particular solution, but we're locked into that goal of making sure that when people are engaging in commerce, they're really getting the best value from it. So in this case, like I just described, you're a business owner. We want you to make sure that you're getting the best value from your business. And today, as you grow as a business, one thing that definitely grows with you is the amount of data and the amount of tools that you use. Unfortunately, that growth in tools does not really come with a growth in yourself in terms of you can't replicate yourself. So you can't monitor the different data points that are coming out from tool 1, tool 2, tool 8. Today, the average number of business apps or tools that SMEs or businesses use is 8.
Okay.
Now, imagine what it takes as the founder or the CEO or as a senior management person in such a business to keep track of the different data points that are coming out from different platforms that your business uses in its operations or in its growth or marketing today.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
A lot.
Banky, typically, what kind of businesses use Peppa?
Historically, it's been SMEs that have used our products to date. However, in the last 2 years, what we've learned is that in order for us to have a broad enough impact, we need to retool the way we reach those SMEs. And so what we have been doing, and to a measure of success, I must say, is that we have been working with what we call gatekeepers.
Okay.
Gatekeepers to medium-sized businesses. Now, think about it today. What is the one thing that you as a business owner cannot do without in your operations?
One thing I cannot do without in my operations, information.
Okay, what is the one tool that you can't do without in your operations? Let's take it one step forward.
A tool we can't do without in our operations. I mean, at the moment, we can't do without a tool like a communication tool like Slack, for example.
Okay.
Right. We can't do without social media.
Okay.
Right.
What is the one platform that you check on a regular that is not Slack or a communication tool?
I mean,
it's a trick question.
Yeah, a trick question. I mean, normally for outbound email, for inbound email, right? And of course, most importantly, to know what's happening out in the industry, right? Then you have to open on LinkedIn, you have to open on Twitter, right? And then you keep on these platforms to ensure that what's inbound you are abreast with what's inbound, and you also
Let
abreast
me
with what's
break it. Let me
outbound.
break your heart a little bit,
Okay, go on. Yeah.
because we do this so unconditionally. We
Okay.
don't even consider it as a tool or as a destination.
Okay.
I put it to you that the interface you look at most frequently is your bank app.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I put it to you.
I mean, for those who have money in the bank,
Well, no, you see, the interesting thing is, for those who have money and those who don't have money, you still go check your bank.
but I mean, if you were not expecting money in your bank account, right? Then why are you checking your bank account?
Well, for reasons of expectation and hope, you still go check your bank account.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Go on.
All right. So having established that, for many of us, your bank app is one of the most frequently used tools that you visit or that
Okay.
you check. We as a startup decided that we were going to explore a means of using that frequency of use that people put the bank app to as a channel
Okay.
of reaching our target audience. And so today, we've been successful in working with a bank, and our goal to, having established that success, is to replicate what we've seen as the outsized impact that you can achieve when you work with those gatekeepers, like I called them in the first place. So today, we're building solutions that are very easily embedded inside of your bank app. We're building solutions that are also available to you,
Okay.
directly. You can go use it.
Okay.
But when you think about how big you really can get, you have to think about your distribution.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Banky. Let's
Yeah.
talk AI.
Okay.
How do you envision integrating AI into Peppa?
Well, that's a very good question. If you remember, in my introduction, I mentioned that we're very data science led now, and the nexus between data science and AI is undeniable.
Okay.
So for us, it's not a how, it is almost foundational for us in terms of enriching the insights that we are all about. So today, people who do AI and who are very deep in AI understand what a RAG means, right? It's a retrieval augmented generation framework. And basically, for us at Pepper, what we are building is the use of a RAG layered on top foundational LLM models, overlapping your internally generated data
Okay.
to now uncover patterns and trends and insights that can now help you take opportunities as a
Okay.
business,
Okay.
or move away from certain areas that are more wasteful for you. So bringing efficiency. And if you think about it, AI is at the core of that approach to what I just described. So we are very much embracing AI. I hate to say we are an AI company,
Okay.
because I feel is that description today, maybe tomorrow it will change,
Okay.
is probably the preserve of the guys who are working on either the GPUs or the large language models
The foundational
themselves,
parts
the
of it.
foundational, the foundational, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Those of us who are building more on top of those foundational models, we still have a few ways to go before we can completely say we are AI companies. So we're more of a data science company leveraging AI.
Okay. So in simple terms,
Yes.
tomorrow, if you integrate AI into Peppa,
Mm-hmm.
what will the business be able to use it to do?
We'll be able to help those businesses that are customers find opportunities
Okay.
in their current operations
Okay.
to save money. the businesses will also find opportunities to grow because we will uncover specific trends that we've seen in their trajectory of either sales or service delivery that show increased opportunities for them to double down. So that's what AI would do for those businesses. We obviously will be the ones holding the hands of these businesses to get there. Our goal at Peppa is to make sure that we simplify it as much as possible for the average business operator
Okay.
to be able to discover what is working for them from an inventory perspective, from a target audience perspective, from a sales perspective, and for them to now position themselves by either um, increasing focus on specific SKUs if you're looking at your inventory,
Okay.
or to increase the focus of your advertising on a specific individual profile. So
Okay.
imagine if you're in your trading business, for instance, and again, remember, we're very much starting with commerce on our side.
Okay.
You discover that the people who buy the most are of a certain age demographic between, say, 25 and 31, and they are female. And then you also learn from all of the data that they buy in the third week of the month. And what they always choose to buy is a specific beauty serum.
Okay.
Now, what we will be able to tell you is that, look, you're stocking 5 different SKUs. Now, of the 5 that you're stocking, 4 of them aren't fast moving. You've
Okay.
got one that is moving so fast from the data that we've already seen that you've generated. How about you overlap that knowledge that you now have about the profile of the people who love this product, the time of month that they love to buy it, and you use that knowledge that you now have to create campaigns to that particular demographic at the time of the month that you've identified that it seems like they have money, which is why they're buying it. And you probably throw in a campaign or a promo in there to say, look, if you're buying within the next 5 days, you're going to get 20% off the second item you buy, for instance, or you're
Okay.
going to get the next item 50% off, for instance. Those
Okay.
interesting promotions that people run in retail and in commerce.
Okay.
So those are the kind of use cases and scenarios that
So in summary,
bringing to life.
they're able to prioritize. They're able to make more decisions on where to focus more to grow their
Decision.
businesses. Okay.
Decision is the key word.
Okay.
They're able to
Okay.
make decisions that transform or move the needle for them.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about GenAI, generative AI.
Okay.
When you think about generative AI, what comes to your mind?
Well.
I mean, and how do you use generative AI?
Okay, interesting. So, like everybody, the things that come to mind for me when people go on about GenAI is ChatGPT, Claude, and very recently Perplexity AI. A little bit of Gemini, but mostly is the 3 that I mentioned. So,
Okay.
which is my favorite? If that's a question that you're about to ask me,
Yeah.
without prejudice, I've enjoyed using Claude a lot.
Okay.
In fact, I think Claude, in ranking, Claude would be top for me. Perplexity would come in second.
Which one comes in third?
Strangely, I don't use a lot of ChatGPT.
Okay.
Strangely, I sample Gemini every once in a while to try and understand how far along they are or how far away they are from the other
Okay.
models that we have there. And it's always quite interesting to see some of the strange things that I get as a feedback when I do those
Okay,
tests.
so let's talk about strange things. Strange things or stranger things now.
Yes.
So have you used any of these Gen AIs and it turned up some supposedly biased information or perhaps wrong information, right, that you saw that this was wrong? And how do you know that this was wrong, right? I mean, think about it. If you're asking for data that you don't know, right, a fact-finding mission, and it gives you data, not all of it is right.
Of course.
So has there been a situation where you
yes.
found one that was wrong?
Yes.
How did you discover that this was wrong? And what did you think about that?
There have been several experiences.
Okay.
But and I'll give you a very funny one, and the most recent that comes to mind. I was asking Gemini about some history around the Roman Empire.
Interesting.
And about the different emperors or different emperors. Yeah, Julius Caesar. You know, at some point Caesar became a title; it stopped being the name. Right? I was asking about the different Caesars, and the reign, and who succeeded who, and what happened after within a particular delimited time space. And it seemed okay at the beginning. Gemini was giving me some interesting feedback, very elaborative, illuminating, and all that. However, at some point, it gave me a wrong number of emperors that had reigned in that particular time period. And I was checking somewhere else as well, just to double check or to verify. And by the time I went back and I saw that it was wrong, I put it back to Gemini to say, but this is incorrect. And then Gemini starts to apologize to say, well, you know, I'm a bot and I'm learning. You know, I can make mistakes, but thanks a lot for correcting me. And it then updated the information.
You know, thinking about this, yeah, I think also it's just funny because there was a time I was trying to get so you know in the pitch decks when you're looking at those the term, the sum, the sum, right, and I mean I was using Claude, right, your favorite Claude,
yeah,
Claude, and so I was trying to permutate that part of the deck just for a fact-finding mission, and it gave me some information. And something just told me this was not right. So I said, Claude, where did you get this information? Can you provide me the sources of this information? Now, usually when I use Claude, what I try to do is, when I query it and it provides information, I tell it, give me the source of this.
Yeah, just hide.
So when it provides the source, I go to the source and read it up. And if possible, go to a different source. Just validate that this information is correct. But then, I just said, give me the source of it. And you know what he said? He said, sorry, but I just totally didn't bring that from any source. I made it up. And then he begins to apologize. And I said, can you find an actual source, quote the source, and then give me information? And so for me, that's kind of how I see this GenAI thing. So again, that's your Claude anyway.
Yeah, well, you know, like they tell you, it's an ever-improving experience. So speaking a little bit about sources, and this is where you will enjoy a few other AI bots products. Maybe if you try Perplexity, you would see that for everything Perplexity
I've used
gives
Perplexity.
You, it always gives
there
you
is a source. It's amazing.
Source. It cites it for you, and I guess that's where they're differentiating themselves. You know, the fact that they are able to combine, and that's where, you know, I fell in love with it, because I'm in the business of combining and consolidating data and making sense out of it. So it's very interesting times. Like someone said, we are only at the beginning of this journey with AI, because right now we are doing very basic stuff, question and answer.
Of course.
We are going to move, as we saw earlier in the year, it's going to become multimodal. Some already have tried to bring out their voice and the video channels as ways to engage with AI. And there's
agentic AI now too.
Exactly. There's agentic AI, which is the way all of us probably can even engage with it the most.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you think about bots have been around for a long time.
They have been. I mean, I built one in 2017, so
exactly.
I know. I mean, a couple of them as well.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah.
So what we're engaging with now, the channel we're engaging at, the layer we're at, is at the bot layer.
Okay.
The only difference between what we have now and what we had before is that there's significantly more information and intelligence behind the bot. If
Okay.
you remember the bots you built in 2017,
course.
they always got to a point where they were stuck and they had to kick you up to an agent or a human
Yeah, of
agent.
course, of
Yes.
course, of course.
Right now, that journey is much longer, and that's where the difference is. Infinite, well, I wouldn't say infinite,
Almost infinite.
significantly more knowledge and intelligence than
What we used to have back
what
then.
we used to have back then.
Okay, thank you, Banky.
Yeah.
So, Banky, so you come from a marketing and product background.
Yes.
Tell us your experience on, AI disrupting both industries and what it means for anyone in that space. I mean, we know that AI is contributing to massive society growth. But then you think about it, also in a way contributing to inequalities, because think about people who are deprived in deprived regions, right, across the world, people who are currently experiencing digital poverty, right. It means they don't even have access to internet power, don't even have access to whatever it is we are calling AI. So they are already backwards. What are you thinking?
It's a very interesting dilemma that we're faced as a civilization, if I may use that word. And I guess that dilemma is the same dilemma that has been regardless of the era that we found ourselves. So at some points, connectivity was something that was causing a lot of differentiation and discrimination because a lot of people were more or less in the black spots. They weren't very connected, infrastructure wise, the internet. Now we're getting to AI. So there's going to always be that disparity from location to location. We probably need to embrace it more. Of course, our jobs as humans or as a civilization is to try to bring more equality into access to life-changing, transformative technologies like artificial intelligence, but it would always be there. So let's first park that to one side. If we go to the question you said about my views about how it's impacting my background,
Yes.
product and product
Marketing.
marketing. I think if you ask anyone today, they would tell you they can work faster.
Okay.
The people on the marketing side will tell you their output has been amplified in terms of
For those who
speed.
are already using it.
People using it. Now, what that tells me is that AI or by itself will not replace people.
Okay.
What it will do is it would improve the output of people who use it. Now, the people who do not use it will fall behind, unfortunately, because they either will take longer or their output will be less attractive or less suitable to the use that they are being requested. Um, in my core, on the product side, AI is doing tremendous stuff. If you're a product manager today, you're probably spending less time writing documentation, generating user flows, mockups for your designer team or your engineers or dev
Okay.
team to work on. So it definitely enhances your outputs. It makes you work faster. Um, you don't want to know how we used to write documents back in the day compared
True.
to how it
True.
is now.
No.
You don't want to know how we used to generate flow diagrams or user stories back in the day. I
True.
remember literally using my hand to do many of those things that tools help you do now. So there is definitely a paradigm or a quantum leap in terms of the quality of work and the speed of work that AI is bringing to the product side. On the marketing side, it's almost is staggering to think that we are only at the early stages, but the difference is significant. The amount of image generation
Yep.
platforms that you've got out there now, there's video generation, if you
There is.
remember, and they are improving by the day. I've been a big fan of Mid Journey.
Okay.
If there is one particular subscription that I don't really feel bad whenever it comes and
Midjourney.
hits is Midjourney. Whenever Midjourney hits my account, I don't really feel bad because I use it and I see the value. It's significantly improved the quality of my output. When you see the user interfaces that our team have built, you can tell that there is definitely a step up. And for me, I would attribute that to AI. And so that's where it comes into the product marketing sphere, where you start to see the output that we're bringing out, the speed with which we're generating things. And I feel that people who are practitioners in those spaces, whether you're a designer, you're a product manager, you're a marketer, the best is to embrace and to use this to amplify your outputs.
Okay, great. But what about those who do not have these opportunities?
That is our job as a civilization to now find how to democratize access to these services. Many years ago, people were talking about how do you get high-speed internet
Okay.
to different regions of the world, especially the developing nations. And then there was 3G, there was 4G, there's 5G. Now, the imperative has now become not just internet access, but access to these transformative technologies like
Okay.
AI. So our job, and it's your job, it's my job, is how do we expand the reach to hitherto uncovered parts of the world? What can we do? The big tech companies, the governments, the development agencies, what can we do to bring access to AI to the regions of the world where people are missing it? We can start at the school level for the children, so the foundation is stronger.
Okay.
But it has to be a deliberate effort. It's the same way where there are SDGs, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Those goals need to be updated in light of the advancements in some of these technologies, and they need to cover.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So that's the way I think we need to do it, because if we do not consciously pursue it, that gap will always be there.
Okay, let's talk AI augmenting development.
Yeah.
Today, you can use GenAI to create images, create animations, create videos, right? Create music even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Now, you can also use it to write code. Now, you being a software developer, and CEO of Peppa, how does that come to you, being that you have people who work for you, right? Colleagues of yours, staff of yours who could be doing one of these tasks for you in your company.
Yeah.
How does that come to you? You write code. Now you suddenly, there is Cursor out there, there is VO by Versal out there. These platforms, this agentic AI write the code for you. In 2 minutes, it builds a whole interface for you.
Yeah.
Right? This is shipping work that usually takes over a month, normally, 2 months normally. Imagine having your software engineer taking weeks to write code for you, to build an interface. Right? You've been in the industry for decades, if not nearly a decade and a half.
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, you have an AI out there that can write that same code, 1 month code, but it can write it in 2-3 minutes, and it can even do code review for you.
Yeah. I think for me, that manages a team of devs, designers, if I speak purely from a selfish perspective, I would say this is like blissful. But if I speak from a very broad perspective, I would say that it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. The advances that we're seeing with AI augmenting code, writing, generating code, doing code review for you, and all of those things has the potential to put people out of jobs for sure. Especially at this stage. This is how far we've seen it now. Of course, we don't know what will happen in future. But what it also does is that it challenges you as a developer to find ways to remain relevant, because there is still limitations to what the AI agent can help you do, especially when it comes to doing certain tasks.
Okay.
Right? And that is where the value of the human comes into it, right? I think we're going to get to the point where we realize that AI needs a manager.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm getting your point now.
The AI needs a manager, whether it's when you're writing the code, whether it's when you're reviewing the code. The way many of us would need to differentiate ourselves and remain relevant is being able to oversee, supervise what the AI is generating, manage it and optimize it to even get you to your outcome faster, and then augmenting, which is a word you use a lot, which is very correct, augmenting the output of the AI based on the level of intelligence the human brain has. The AI still cannot match it. So you probably have a vision that the AI doesn't have, and that the AI needs to realize that output. And that's where the value would come. But for any of us who feels as comfortable to think that you're not under threat, just doing your code writing, code reviews yourself, we're in for a rude shock. That's all I would say.
Okay.
I, for one, have shared with my team different tools that I've seen, and I've been asking them, guys, how can we bring this thing into our
Day-to-day
development cycle to really fast track what we do, help us get output faster, and because we have to stay competitive.
Stay relevant.
Yeah, we have to stay competitive. The people you're in the market with are using these tools, and so they are getting things out fast. I was looking at a particular platform and I saw that they had over 300 templates.
Wow.
Right? 300 templates. And I was thinking to myself, and this is very drag and drop type templates.
Okay.
It wasn't AI led, but I was thinking to myself that if I want to compete with a product like this, there's the old way would be to assemble a huge army of designers and developers. But today's way would be, look, what kind of models can we train that would generate things on the fly based on prompts that the user puts in there? So we don't need particularly, okay, for the sake of presentation, we might say, we've got this number of models in our library or catalog, but the originality of it, AI can help you get it as long as you can train the model.
I agree. I mean, there was this movie producer, I can't remember the name now, who was trying to set up a movie village, right? And there was a huge budget for that. But then I think the person stopped trying to do that because the person realized that AI is going to disrupt all of that. I mean, think about it. The kind of models right now that exist, think about Sora, right? That has the capability. There's a whole lot of them out there. There's also Pika out there.
Yeah.
These AIs can generate animation.
Yep.
They can generate different scenarios.
Yep.
They can generate full-on stories by script.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking about this, then you start questioning, what do you need a whole movie village for?
Yeah. Production studios are going to enjoy it or they're going to dread it.
Interesting. I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of mass actions and protests.
Oh yeah,
because
the unions,
you think about it. At the end of every movie, you see those names those credits that come off. Now imagine getting away with, imagine wiping off 70% of that credit. That's a whole lot of people out of jobs.
Yeah.
That's some crazy thought. That's thought to a reality that we're facing.
Yes, it's shuddering, but it also is exciting. I don't want to be in those shoes. I don't want to be in the shoes. And the way not to be in the shoes is to find your edge, is to find the value that you can bring.
Your competitive advantage.
Yeah, because
keep improving.
Knowledge will continue to advance. No matter the mass action, class action, protest, you're not going to stop the advancement of knowledge. So the best way is to find your angle.
A way to enable you, document your processes.
Yes, that's what I would do.
Okay.
That's what I would do for sure.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's talk about GenAI and copyright infringement. So on my hand here, I have a case, Zhang versus Google LLC. So by a person named Zhang Zhang, Sarah Anderson, Hope Larson, and co. Now, this class actions complaint has been brought by them. They are all visual artists. And the complaint is based on an argument that the key source of Google's training data is Lion image sets, which is their data image sets, right? As a CEO of Peppa, who tomorrow you may want to be as big as Google, what are your thoughts around such issues?
I have some very interesting thoughts because it's not going to stop. That's the first thing. We're going to have a few more cases similar to this, maybe more than a few, to be honest, where people feel violated, their rights have been violated by the bigger entity, and the bigger entity on their own feel it's for public good. Whatever it is that they are doing is for the public good ultimately. I think there needs to be a watershed moment, if I can say that, where there would be a definition of roles in the emerging ecosystem, right? Because the new ecosystem where AI is primary would require a lot of information training, information consumption for it to become better. Now, the same way many years ago, there was an ecosystem created where, like the digital ad ecosystem, where you know that someone is a publisher, someone is a creator, someone is a channel, and everyone gets a piece of the pie. That's the same way I feel that we would ultimately land in
Okay.
this emerging landscape where AI is, by very nature of itself, consuming so much data that that data inadvertently has to be data whose copyright is owned by third parties.
Okay.
I feel that we will get to that point where um, the foundational models would need to work out some kind of compensation model where third party data that they are consuming, every time it gets used, there's some way of attributing and there's some way of compensating. If we look at it from that perspective in a very collaborative way, I'm sure that we will get to the point where there will be fewer cases. I'm not saying it will disappear,
Okay.
but there will be fewer cases. And that may be also a way where some of the providers of these models would need to create certain layers to their service options. So, for instance, if you really want deeper insights into certain things, you might want to pay more to get access to it because they know they need to compensate the owners
Of
of
this
the third party
information.
information. I feel that's where we will go. I may be wrong, but using what we know from the past, the way everything worked out in the internet, mobile app ecosystem, mobile app store ecosystem, I feel that those are models we can learn from and that we can easily start from, even though they might not be where we end.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Banky. So, Banky, um, so when you decide to integrate AI into Pepper, how will you address potential inequalities or potential biases or discrimination that could come, you know, along downstream based on the development of your own software?
Well, first off, I think we have some good reference points to learn from. That in these early days, what we're seeing the bigger tech companies deal with when it comes to biases. Um, the more memorable ones are, like you mentioned, cases where people feel that their intellectual property has been infringed. For us, though, what that really tells us is we need to be very observant and very deliberate when we are consuming data that is intellectually protected or is owned by other parties. So one of the things that we are learning and that we would be careful to do is to be guided from an IP perspective for starters. Intellectual property advisories are very important in this age that we are getting into. Some of them would be using laws that exist today. Some of them would be using laws that would emerge as we go along, because I for one believe that some of the laws may not be fit for purpose as we go along, and there might be some revisions. So what we would definitely do is to take an IP centric approach to the use of AI in our tech stack, to take a permission first approach and an attribution first approach, so that the possibility of claims will not completely be eliminated, but we would be well aware and will be well protected to a certain extent ahead of time. Of course, some of these things will emerge
Okay.
irrespective.
Okay.
My career, I've seen that even despite your best intentions, there might be things that fall through the cracks. And the best way, obviously, to go about that is to be collaborative in trying to find solutions to the claims. Um, the smaller you are, the lesser the headaches, but the bigger you are, the
All the
bigger the
headaches.
headaches come. So that's one way we will definitely continue to do. We've got some experience with those kind of things in some of our individual careers before we started
Okay.
building what we're building now. So we're well aware. In terms of inequality, which is a far bigger challenge than any one company, we will definitely contribute our fair bit um, into finding ways to reduce the inequalities. I have the good fortune of being African, so everything that I do originally, I have to always think about um, people from where I'm from. How can we help to bring access to these kind of transformative frameworks or tool sets like AI is today? So to speak to that inequality piece, it would be to be deliberate about finding ways to bridge the gap for those that have reduced access or no access at all. So that's how we would approach it, or how we intend to approach it right now. So yeah,
Thank you for that, Banky. So, Banky,
yeah.
what excites you about the future?
Mm, mm. That's a very pregnant question. Um, Currently, I'm very excited about what we're working on right now, and we're in rooted in that excitement is the impact we feel that we're going to make with what we're building. And to extend that a little bit forward, we're looking for um, mid-sized businesses, who small to mid-size, who are doing um, upwards of 3,000 to 5,000 a month in in sales.
Pounds, you mean, yes?
Yeah, pounds in sales, and somewhat getting overwhelmed by the amount of data that their businesses are generating from the different tools they're using. I would love to explore what life could look like when that overload is taken away from them and business sense is made of the data. We're happy to extend a 90-day risk-free pilot to these businesses, where they would use our products and explore it and see whether it moves the needle for them in terms of the insights we're able to expose and the recommendations we're able to put in front of them, and take it from there. So we're very excited about that. We feel that by the end of February, we should be able to have these businesses start to play around with the product that we've been working on.
Okay, just to be particular, what kind of, can you list like 4 or 5 key problems that these businesses could be facing for them to, you know, for it to be that your solution is the next best thing for them?
So businesses could be faced, they could be dealing with inventory overload in
Okay.
terms of the inventory is lingering much longer in their warehouses.
Okay.
So they've got inventory that's sitting in their warehouses that is not moving, and they don't quite understand what they need to do. That could be one challenge area that you may be dealing with. It could also be for businesses who are seeing, to a large extent, a non-repeatable wave of customer patronage. So if your business is going through spikes, but you can't put your finger on what's driving the spikes, we would be very happy to help you look at the data and try to make sense of why there is a spike, who are the people behind the spike, and what you can do to make that spike a lot more predictable and a lot more frequent. So that speaks to a certain extent the marketing stack. The previous one speaks to a certain extent the sales stack,
Okay.
where you want to invest more in items that your customers are demanding for, and you want to spread your inventory in a way where you have more of items that are moving fast and less of items that are lingering in your warehouse. So those are two starting points that we would love to help people with on the sales side and on the marketing side.
Okay. Thank you
Yes.
so much for that. And for me, again, it's there's a lot of businesses out there. There are those who know they have this problem, and there are those who don't know that they have this problem. But
Absolutely.
for us, again, in capturing this, we want to ensure that while we have technologies out there, we have AI out there, we have those tools that are advancing, you know, equalities, advancing businesses. You know, we also want people to know about them and people to use them to improve their businesses. So thank you, Banky, for uh, being here with us today, and we wish your business all the best.
Oh, thanks for having me. And you can find me on LinkedIn.
Yes, please.
You
Where
can
can we
find
find
me on
you?
LinkedIn, Banky Alao. It's Banky. So that's Banksy without the S, in case you can't spell it. And Alao is Alao.
The website?
Our website is mypeppa.co.uk, mypeppa.co.uk. And you can just drop me a DM on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn as well. Banky
Yeah,
Alao on LinkedIn.
if you are happy for us to discuss running that pilot with you, we're happy to take messages from you and
So
we'll
please
contact
hit
you.
Banky up. He'll be expecting you to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Automating Inequality Podcast.